going on, guys? Welcome back to another Game Time Discussions. I'm Emery Cuzzy. I'm sitting with Cameron Selby, and we're going to be doing the Week 8 main slate. The first look that we do every week. And there's a lot of good games on this slate. 13 total games. Everybody's playing this week. 16 games, one Thursday night football game, and then prime time and Monday night football. So we're going to get as many games as possible in. Tell me about the 5 highest totals, Cameron.
Yeah, back to a normal slate this week. No buys, like you said. The highest totals, there's not a single one over 50 yet, but Packers-Jags is the highest total at 49.5. Then you got the Eagles and the Bengals, which I'm very excited for that game. Very important game that's non-conference at 48. The Bills and Seahawks, a very interesting game at 47. The Cardinals and Dolphins, two very interesting, underwhelming offenses that are playing and hopefully just end up being a 41-40 game.
Right.
And then you got the Colts-Texans, who played in week 1. That game hit 56. This one's at 46, but, game environment inside dome game, that should be fun. Contrarian games, kind of similar to these two that we mentioned. Falcons-Bucks. That was the banger Thursday night game that we saw a couple weeks ago. It's going to be looking very different with, obviously Chris Godwin going down out for the year with a ankle injury, and then Mike Evans. He immediately was ruled out, so I wouldn't be shocked if he was on IR, but they already said that it's likely he's going to be out through the bye. So very, very, decimated receiving core, but a lot of value that opens up because that happened on Monday night. And then the Falcons, all reasonable prices, and Kirk just threw for 511 against them. So very interesting one. And then Bears Commanders, which was going to be a banger of a game because it was going to be the number 1 pick versus number 2 pick. Both teams doing great, above expectations on both, even though we were on the right side on the Bears. We like the Commanders too, but even they're blowing our expectations out of the water.
For sure.
Problem is Jaden Daniels week to week with a rib injury. Kind of a wait and see now, but Bears have flipped to being the favorite in that game. So even if it is Marcus Mariota, hopefully it'll still be a fun game. I mean, he still put up 37 against the Carolina Panthers, so that one should be a good offensive friendly game as well.
Yeah, I think Cliff Kingsbury finally figured out how to call an offense in the NFL. So looking a lot better than he did when he was in Arizona. Let's check out the slate though. Looking at our slate, we got 7 quarterbacks today to talk about. We're going to run through them. The first one up is going to be Jalen Hurts for going up against Cincy. Cam did mention it as one of the highest game totals and a fun game that is basically between two teams that are going to be very, very active. So
yeah, with Jalen Hurts, it was a very interesting game last week. He only had 14 pass attempts. That don't know what happened. Even though you're playing from ahead, that just rarely ever happens. It wasn't bad weather. It wasn't any of that nature. But 10 for 14, 100 plus yards. But he did have 2 rushing touchdowns. So again, even when Saquon Barkley's going off against his former team for nearly 200 all-purpose yards, he's still finding ways to be having a very, very safe floor.
Right.
Well, I mean,
22.8.
Look at it. It's only 7 touchdowns through 7 weeks. And yet he's still, despite having a bye, so 7 touchdowns, 6 games. But, not that great in the passing game. But also he had Devontae Smith go down with concussion. A.J. Brown missed a few weeks with a hammy. But since then, A.J. Brown has not had a 100-plus yard game. He's been incredible, 24 points a game. Or I misspoke, but averaging 100 yards a game. Has scored in every single game, averaging 24, like I said, on low targets, but just high efficiency. And I expect more of the same this week. Cincinnati's actually favored. So if
crazy.
it is a more passing friendly environment, as long as the weather holds up, it should be incredible. One thing to note, Dallas Goedert, obviously he had a hamstring injury. So his replacement, Grant Calcaterra, in the game that he went down, had a very good 4 for 69 game. Obviously, we targeted him as a tournament play last week, and he had 1 target because Jalen Hurts didn't throw the ball. But he's still in play this week. He's going to be low-owned, and he's another stackable piece in that offense. Devontae Smith actually had less yards than when he came into the week. Had -2 yards on his only catch. But again, good bounce-back spot for him. 66, he should be low-owned because there's so many games on, but also just coming off a recent poor performance, it should open up the doors for being a very nice tournament play. I'm going to mention Jahan Dotson, even though you clicked on him because he's just bad at football and he's just not getting the ball.
Fair enough. A former first-round pick, very bad at football. That's not the only first-round pick that the Washington Commanders have missed on. They just released Jamin Davis, who they picked in 2019. So, a couple guys. I am looking for the Jacks. No, I'm not. I'm looking for Green Bay. All right, here we go. Jordan Love.
The next one, Jordan Love. Another game, if you want to click on his numbers real quick, because his second game in his last 3 where he had 3+ touchdowns. 4 against Arizona. I'm sorry, 3 out of the last 4 having at least 3 touchdowns is what I meant to say. There are picks in there, but guess what? That doesn't really matter as much in fantasy. The problem is just who are you going to stack him with? Because, I mean, we were talking about him as a possible play that we just couldn't get to, and we were like, Dontavian Wicks is going to miss. Well, he ended up playing, and he scored the first touchdown.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, it's just completely wide open. Christian Watson is just there. Sure, he is. I mean, he barely has targets or yards. Jaden Reed had a dud of a game, but his price went down $500. So it's the cheapest we've seen in a few weeks, and we saw a couple of 130+ yards games against him. Romeo Dobbs back-to-back strong weeks following a suspension, 2 touchdown game, and then last week 10 targets, 8 for 94. So pretty strong there. And then Tucker Kraft. He had a 2 touchdown game, then he had a dud game, and we were like, oh, don't be afraid to go back to him. And lo and behold, he scored a touchdown. So he's in play as well.
Yep. All those guys it's just hard to sort through the Green Bay Packers for sure. Just so many good players, or so many players in general. Maybe not all of them are good, but lots of players. And it makes it a little difficult. Next up is going to be Cincinnati. What time did they play? They must play in the morning. Where are they? What? Cincinnati?
No, I think it's a 3:00 game.
Oh, Cincinnati.
Yeah. Or no, it's a 12:00, but it was just in that weird middle.
Gotcha. I was like, I thought it was an early game.
No, you're good.
All right, there's Joe Burrow.
Yeah, Joe Burrow. Joe Shiesty, he has just been underratedly strong.
Oh, yeah.
Just since week 1, essentially. I mean, if you look at his game log and numbers, I mean, he's in a weird quarterback year of just a lot of turnovers and bad football play, especially from guys like Patrick Mahomes, who just is just no longer a fantasy darling, apparently.
Right.
Joe Burrow, quietly 14 touchdowns, 2 picks, 110 passer rating, 20.6 fantasy points a game. A lot of that largely from the Baltimore game where it was an absolute shootout and he had 5 touchdowns. The last 2 weeks, it's kind of meh, but he had a breakout 47-yard touchdown run against the Giants. And then last week in a tough game against Cleveland, we thought it would be lower scoring, but from a real life perspective, had a pretty solid outing. Didn't turn the ball over. They got a win. And then again, they're favored this week against Philly. I expect this to be a very similar game to a Baltimore game where maybe it's not as high scoring and just as much of a shootout. But I mean, where the ball's going, who he's targeting, and they're still going to put up points. And so they're kind of hitting their stride, hopefully after back-to-back wins. And now this time we can bake in some offense.
For sure.
But the highest prize skill player on the slate, 8,500, Jamar Chase. I feel better and better about our bold predictions to start the season.
No, it's going well.
It's going really, really well. He's leading the league in yards.
Let me grab it.
He's leading pass catchers and touchdowns with 6. The only thing is he's not leading the team or leading the league in reception. So your Triple Crown thing, it's on its way. It's 2 out of 3. And then with me, I said 20 touchdowns. I said what else did I say? Over 1,500 yards.
1,500,
and
yeah.
He's well on his pace for 1,500. He's on pace for a 20 touchdown somewhat. So he's just been really strong, really solid. A couple boom games here and there with 33 in week 3 against Washington and then 44 against Baltimore. So if you're going to play Joe Burrow, it starts with Jamar Chase.
Yeah, he has 6 touchdowns on the year. It's tied with Mike Evans, but Mike Evans is going to miss and go into IR. That is the top 2. And then 620 yards. Second place is another Buccaneer in the Chris Godwin, who is now probably out for the rest of or is definitely out for the rest of the season.
And Nico Collins is 3, who he is currently on IR. So
exactly.
He is has an opportunity to just get further the gap.
Yes.
And they're just hitting their stride at the right time. And, this is another good game script for him.
Yep. And then T. Higgins has also been really good. Yep. Both of them have been really solid, and that's Joe Burrow obviously is making that happen. 29, 14, and 18 last 3 games, going around 80 points per game. But the touchdowns is what has really pushed him over the top in the last 3. He's also good at football. I mean,
Yeah, I mean
nothing to
that
say there.
it's just such a fun 1-2 duo,
Mhm.
and this may be the last year. It may not be, but we're just gonna enjoy it while we can, and if we're able to afford it, we're definitely going to play them in nice spots like these.
Yep, and then some cheap tight ends that you can just mention: Eric Alls 2,600, and then Mike Gesicki 2,900. If they get some catches and fall into the
And
end zone,
then,
you'll be happy.
real quick, it is worth mentioning Chase Brown.
Oh yeah,
Second straight game where he outsnapped Zach Moss, and on top of that, he's been more efficient. Last week, somewhat
Cleveland was
more
tough.
inefficient, but Cleveland's a tough defense. So, despite them being 1-6, so, but yeah, he had the game-winning or game-sealing touchdown against the Giants. He had, a string of games where he's earned his opportunities and he's taken over the, majority of the important snaps, which is what we thought he would be. And it didn't happen immediately, but you just gotta have some patience with the best
sure.
ball play like him.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We knew they were on the same team. It wasn't like we were surprised Zach Moss was there. Kirk Cousins is our next quarterback for Atlanta. I can see that Atlanta. Luckily, I found that one quick. He has, like we said, 510 yards last time they played against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Darnell Mooney went crazy. Drake London went crazy. Kyle Pitts had that was his breakout-ish game earlier in the year. So lots of guys here to get for stacks. So
yeah, I mean, don't look now, but Kyle Pitts, third straight game with over 65 receiving yards. It all started with against Tampa, the first target of his game. He hit the over on his receiving total. Obviously, he's another one. It's a slow burn. He had a really, really slow start to the season again. But guess what? All of a sudden, last 3 games, 8 targets, 5 targets, 9 targets, starting to get more and more involved. We want red zone looks, though, to pair with that. But 4,400, his price actually went down after another strong game. So he's kind of right in the middle tweener range, and he's a pretty solid value. So if you wanted to go with the Kirk Cousins and you wanted to bring it back with the Darnell Mooney in play too, because he had his crazy good game as well. But Drake London, his career best game coming against that Tampa Bay game where he had 36. I believe he was wide receiver 1 on that week.
Yes, he was.
So, yeah, I mean, he's scored in 4 of the last 5 games, 3 straight, 5 total touchdowns on the year. He's somebody that's really, really been quietly just consistently excellent. And, his price is the most it's been all season. But with Kirk Cousins only being 62, it is completely reasonable to do a double with him and a Kyle Pitts. Or if you want to keep Ray, who's just staying around.
For sure.
It's kind of hard to get to Darnell Mooney, but he's a really good tournament play. Because, again, you look at that game that he had against Tampa and, 16 targets, 9 touchdowns, or 9 catches, 105 yards, 2 touchdowns, 34 points from him as well. So him and Drake London combined had 70 fantasy points. So that's just kind of the thing that goes around when, you target high volume passing quarterbacks like Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, and I want to mention Bijan Robinson. He's been really good the last couple of weeks, both hitting 25 points against the Carolina Panthers and the Seahawks. This is a game where in this last game he had 10.7, wasn't utilized as much as he's been recently. So hopefully, they want to give him the ball as much as possible because he is such a good player. Drake London, if I would have told you Darnell Mooney had, and I want to preface this, Tampa Bay is the fantasy carnival. Like I am all about it. Every week you play against Tampa Bay as an offense, you are going to score a lot of points, and they're the fantasy carnival. So getting teams like this, it's a really good spot.
And now with the injuries, they are favored now, even being on the road. But I still expect it to be a close enough game to where they can return value. But Bijan Robinson, I know he didn't hit our receiving prop that we had on Thursday night, which was insane when the quarterback has 500 yards, but we targeted him for a reason. It was in a good spot. The frustrating part was they weren't giving him the looks enough. Well, it is worth noting, though, like you said, just all kinds of fantasy goodness come from this team. We just saw last night Derrick Henry go for 182 all-purpose yards and a touchdown for them, and that is including Lamar Jackson having a 5 passing touchdown performance. Yeah. So, points are going to be scored in this game. Probably more on the Atlanta side, and so that's why they're going to be in play, every single one of these guys.
And this is a very important game for division matchup and everything. So very big game.
Yeah, I mean, you see all of a sudden it was a completely wide open division, but Carolina just looks like the worst team in football. New Orleans has dropped 5 straight. They are dogs by a touchdown again this week. Tampa Bay losing their 2 best weapons for the foreseeable future. The gap is getting wider and wider, and to sweep Tampa Bay would be a massive deal for Atlanta, who is going to start getting into the easy stretch of their schedule. And again, they were the team that had the easiest strength of schedule throughout the season,
Right.
and it's going to start now. And
Yes.
so that's why it's a big way to just kind of keep things going and rebound off of a tough loss against the Seahawks this past week.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the next team we're going to go to is Arizona going against Miami. We talked about them being a 46-point game total, which is actually, I would expect that to be lower and want to bet the over, I guess, is kind of how I look at it, because I think Miami's team is not there. But they did set it high like they should have. And we know the players that we want to get to for both of these. For the Arizona Cardinals, Greg Dortch, not Zay.
Yeah. Mr. Monday Night Touchdown scorer, Greg Dortch.
Yes, exactly. But this is the grouping right here. Marvin Harrison Jr., rookie sensation, right? Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch, and Trey McBride, one of the best tight ends in football.
Yeah, with Marvin Harrison, I want to start with him just because he's a perfect kind of tournament-esque play this week. I mean, back-to-back games, or really 3 straight games where it's been rough outings. Obviously, a 5-point outing against the 49ers was never, a good thing. He got concussed early in the game against the Packers, which was also a tough matchup. And then the Chargers, 3 for 21, awful production, but also he was missed on a wide open 70-yard touchdown.
Yes, he was.
That Kyler Murray did not see. So it's just kind of one of those things that he's having growing pains because of the offense that he's in, because it is mind-numbing to watch the Arizona Cardinals call offensive plays. It is so frustrating to watch. And I know you mentioned earlier with Cliff Kingsbury finally being able to call an offense. Well, maybe it's a Kyler Murray problem.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. I mean, he's having, up and down fantasy production. We've targeted him multiple times, and it has not worked out. But he's also had a first half where, he goes off against the Los Angeles Rams, and that was a really strong week. He goes off against the San Francisco 49ers. But other than that, he's got a 9-point game in there. He's got a 13-point game in there. He's got a 15-point game in there. And being a running style quarterback, he hasn't had a single 2 passing touchdown game other than that Rams game. So you need more out of him. And so maybe this is a get right spot for him against Miami. They are returning with Tua. We'll talk about him in a moment. So maybe it'll be more fireworks in this game to where he'll have to keep up with them. But yeah, it's one of those where he's one of the lowest prices he's been all season. And it's warranted because of the inconsistency, but he is in the pool because of his rushing upside and what he can do if it is an actual high-scoring game.
For sure. And then some dart throw sprinkles on these two guys, but Trey McBride, like we said, is one of the best tight ends in football. 7, 8, 9 targets in the last 3 weeks. You're not going to get that type of target share, but he just hasn't scored the touchdown. So if he can score the touchdowns, he will be a very good play at 5,500.
And it is also worth noting, no, you don't have him selected. We're not even considering him from a DraftKings perspective, but Zay Jones returned from IR at his first game on Monday Night Football. Only had 11 snaps, but you expect that to increase, and that's just going to more so dip into the Wilson and Dortch production than anything.
And then on the other side of the ball, we have Tua coming back, H-Chan, let's put Mostert in there too. And then Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle's 5,400, so cheap, way too cheap. He just hasn't been good, but that is crazy
Well,
price.
here's the deal: none of them have been good.
Fair enough.
If you drafted a single one of these Dolphins, and since Tua went down, it's been awful. It's been embarrassing, atrocious, whatever you want to call it. Eyesore, frustrating. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, the entire second half of this past game, did not have a target. But now, if Tua's back, I don't expect any limitations from a concussion. I know it's
throw 40 times,
controversial
50
whether
times.
He should be playing or not.
Yeah.
But this offense is built around Tua, and even if he is back and there are some missed throws or whatever, he's going to have 300-yard upside because it is against the Cardinals defense, who has been playing above their talent level and has been pretty solid over the past few weeks. But it's also a $7,000 Tyreek Hill that I've never seen that cheap. It's also a Devon Achane who was running back 1 through 2 weeks.
Right.
That is 6,200. I believe that's his season low. A Jalen Waddle at his season low because he's just been awful. Jonnu Smith had a 90-yard game actually last week. He's only 3,600. It's one of the easiest ways to do a stack or a double stack this week. and it has as much upside as anybody. But you also have to play the pretend that Tua is going to stay healthy, because if it doesn't, you've seen the game logs that
This is tough.
it's just tough.
Oh my god.
Tyreek Hill, one of the best receivers of our generation, can't even get 10 points without Tua. But guess what? Tua's back, so all of these guys are in the pool for sure this week.
Wide receiver 1 right here. Don't worry.
I mean,
7 for 7 for 96 and touchdown. Yeah, it's been a really weird outing for the Miami Dolphins, but I wonder if HN becomes wide receiver 3 again. He's $6,200. If he does that, if he has these first 2 weeks worth of numbers,
exactly.
this price is just way too cheap. I mean,
everybody's at their season low. It's a perfect buy low spot, and it seems like DraftKings just slept on the fact that Tua is back this week, and so they're all in the player pool
for
and
sure.
we're definitely going to be playing some Tua lines if he does indeed return like we expect.
Yep. Let's go. Oh my gosh, I left Miami. Let's go to the Chicago Bears. Get Caleb Williams in this game versus the Washington Commanders. Washington is one of the biggest pass funnel defenses in the league right now. And we know where the ball's going. We know who the guys are. And they're not really that expensive, truly, if you wanted to double stack them. So
the only thing that's kind of scary is that they have absolutely been dominating teams they've been better than. So, I mean, 3 of the last 4 games, they destroyed Arizona. That was a game that it was a high total. We stacked, double stacked on the Arizona side, and we're wrong because of the blowout. Then they destroyed Cleveland the way they did. Tough game against Baltimore, but it was a higher scoring game.
Right.
And then Carolina, we had the puke stack with Andy Dalton. That did not work out.
No.
My streak is over with the puke stacks, but we're going to start another one this week. But yeah, getting back to Washington, they've been very strong.
Chicago.
No, I know.
Sorry.
I'm just saying defensively, they've been very strong. But guess what? Caleb Williams is starting to tune up a little bit. 3 of the last 4 games, at least 23 fantasy points. He's got his receiving core getting healthy again. And, I mean, his most recent game outing against the Jacksonville Jaguars over the pond, 4 passing touchdowns. He's had 300-yard upside in 2 of these recent games. Even if the turnovers don't go down, the production is starting to go up. So being only 6,000, all of his guys are cheap.
Yeah.
DJ Moore has had 30-point upside with him, and he's only 66. You see that right there.
30.5 2 weeks ago.
Keenan Allen had a 2-touchdown game this past time. Roma Dunze, he's got the boom week as well. Cole Kmet had a 2-touchdown game in London against the Jaguars, and he's all of a sudden starting to really come on and has very low ceiling or low floor, but 2 games now with 24 fantasy points.
Yeah.
So all these guys are in the play, very recently priced. It's a 3:00 game too, so that's always fun to have your double stack be in the next game. And then also worth mentioning, DeAndre Swift, 3 straight 20-point games after having a really crappy start to the year, being very inefficient with 1.3 yards a carry, 1.5 yards a carry. He's starting to come into his own a little bit. Caught every single one of his targets used the last 3 weeks, and he has scored in those games as well.
Oh, no, I think DeAndre Swift goes as Caleb Williams goes, and Caleb Williams has been playing good, so DeAndre Swift reaps that reward a little bit. The next team we're going to talk about is our puke stack. We didn't really have any. We only have 1 puke stack this week, guys, and I love it. I absolutely. Well, I was waiting for this moment. I mean, all my life. Where are they? Oh, Jameis. And I love that it's against Baltimore.
Jameis.
Perfect. Oh my gosh.
Mr. 30-30 himself. Jameis Winston, 5,200. Obviously, however you want to take the news, we are going to stay out of the negativity of it. But Deshaun Watson tore his Achilles. He is out for the season, and we are in the fantasy. What does that mean now? It just means Jameson Winston is going to be the Joe Flacco and throw 40 times and have some fantasy goodness, hopefully. It is a home game, possible trap game against Baltimore.
Right.
He came in relief as an emergency 3rd quarterback this past week and had the touchdown against to David Njoku. But basically, this comes down to, hey, you want some salary relief? Get one of the cheapest quarterbacks on the board. Every single one of his options from a pass catching perspective is below 5,000. You start with Jared Judy at 48. You go to Cedric Tillman, who was a 0% owned, 14 targets. And then you got a David Njoku, who was, I believe, tied in 1 this week.
23 points. Yeah, 23.6.
14
targets. I love it. I
Exactly.
mean, we're going to play
He's
him for
51.
sure this week.
Yeah, I misspoke when I said everybody's below 5,000, but forgive me for him being 51.
He should be 51.
It's really easy to get to him. I actually mentioned on the Sunday live stream Elijah Moore as well. He actually returned value, having 7 targets himself. Jerry Jeudy is going to be the tournament play of the bunch because he's the one that did suck.
And he's the most expensive.
So, but all these guys really in play. Nate Chubb was very inefficient with his first game back, but guess what? He scored his first touchdown. So
does not
worth
matter.
mentioning, but he doesn't really correlate at all with Jameis.
Right.
It's going to be the big 4 down low, all in play. If you want relief, that's where you go this week.
Very excited about this. Jameis throwing for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns and 5 interceptions does not matter to me because he has all the other stuff. So yeah, this is a fun play, and I'm excited about it because I love Jameis Winston. I am a Florida State fan, if y'all did not know. But yeah, so that's the group of quarterbacks we had. We have to talk about some stud running backs really quick because I am still on the the Cleveland Browns. Let's get off and get everybody else. Talking about some of these guys, looking at Kenneth Walker, he has been just so good this year, and he just continues that train. Upside of 30 points, average of 22.
22.9.
So, and he's look at these rushing attempts.
Get him some damn rushing attempts.
Look at this shit.
Like, he's doing all this without even getting 20 rushing attempt upside, and he hasn't gotten that since his week 1 game, which is when he went down with the oblique injury. Came back, and since then, all of a sudden, now he's catching 7-8 passes a game. Now he's catching receiving shoulder touchdowns on his birthday
passes either.
Yeah, he was the guy that we were teasing, being questionable due to an illness, and it was his birthday on Sunday. He scored 2 touchdowns, and we should have played lines with him because it worked out. He did, by the skin of his teeth, hit the prop that we shouted out for him. But I expect more of the same. It's Buffalo. They've been bad against running backs. You saw what Breece Hall did this past week. It was more so in the passing game, having over 90 receiving yards, but 100 plus all-purpose yards. One of the best spots are at home. I actually don't know who's favored, top of my head. It might be Buffalo, but if it is not, quick buffer and banter, it is Buffalo's actually 3-point favorite. So otherwise, he would be the 5-box running back play of the week.
Perfect.
He's not, though. But guess what? He is somebody that we're worth considering, even though this is probably his season or his career high in terms of DraftKings price.
Yeah, the next guy I isn't on the sheet, but I do want to mention Jahmyr Gibbs just in case we do get David Montgomery out. It looks like he is in, so that's why he's not on our sheet. But he had a great game last week because of the injury to David Montgomery. So if that stays, 7,400 is basically free at that point if he's going up against Tennessee Titans. So
yeah, the thing is, though, there's just so many good running backs again in top and great spots. So Breece Hall, back-to-back games with 25-ish fantasy points and more. He scored in this past game, but had 100 receiving yards on 9 targets. He's just a funnel that goes, and they're going against New England. And New England, obviously, he goes in and scores 18, so he already has a good track record with how they played against New England. But they just got up too much too early. Well, being on the road, maybe they squeak by and make it a little closer of a game.
For sure.
The Jets have just been an absolute shambles. They've been playing poorly. Yeah, they're probably favored. They should be, and they'll probably win. But it is worth a spot. New England is kind of poor against running backs, bottom 3 in the NFL. So it is definitely worth the spot we're targeting.
Yeah, and then the next guy is J.K. Dobbins. Well, we talked about Bijan earlier. So the next guy is J.K. Dobbins against the New Orleans Saints. They have just been atrocious. They have no starters on offense still, so their defense is just out there all the time. And that gives J.K. the opportunity to run the ball 20 times if he wanted to.
Yeah, and again, if you don't want to believe like spending all the way up for 69 for J.K. Dobbins, look what Javonte Williams did with no ownership on Thursday night against the New Orleans Saints on the road, and he goes for 100 yards, his first career 2-touchdown game. They're absolute run funnel right now. They are the worst over the last few weeks against running backs. 300-plus yards against Sean Tucker and Bucky Irving combined, and then obviously Javonte Williams goes off against them. So J.K. more the same we expect. Again, he's kind of majority workload. He's hovered around 70% throughout the last 4 weeks. Still no Gus Edwards, and even though Kamani Vidal is getting some more opportunities, it's still the JK show. So 6,900 home favorite, 5-box running back. Just book it.
Perfect. And then going down to the next one, we've got Kareem Hunt. We're getting the mid tier here. Kareem Hunt going up against the Raiders. Would be a $5 running back if he was at home, just like we said earlier. Still getting the 20 plus rushing attempts, getting some targets, but I mean, that's insane. Like all the attempts basically for this team.
Exactly. So again, if there's another rushing attempt or rushing yard prop that comes too low, his rushing yard is already getting boosted and boomed right now as it is. So we're gonna have to maybe catch some fantasy score later in the week, rush attempt, whatever. But they're going to absolutely decimate the Las Vegas Raiders. I've been waiting for this game since they were doing the teases and making fun of Mahomes, and Mahomes has sucked this year, and they're still undefeated. And this is the game where they absolutely just kick their ass. And playing from ahead, it's going to start with Kareem Hunt, who had a 2-touchdown game against a tough run defense.
Yeah.
He is just one of the best plays, and he might be one of the most popular running backs on the slate.
Just pick a guy up off the street and hand him the ball 26 times. It doesn't matter what happens. It does not matter. He'll be fine. I promise. He's had 64% of the snaps, but every freaking snap he's in, he gets the ball. So, next guy up is Tank Bigsby, riding on the fact that Travis Etienne is probably still going to be out this next week. He had 118 yards in this last game, 26 carries. Another guy just like Kareem Hunt. This time, I believe they are underdogs, I'm sure, right? There is no way they're favorites in this game.
No, they're not favorites.
Okay, so he would be a $5 running back also if he was favored, except for he doesn't get targets. Let me rephrase that. He would not be a $5 running back, but he does get the 20 plus touch upside.
Yeah, I mean, again, Green Bay, sometimes it was spotty, but for the most part, they've been one of the teams that we target running backs to. I mean, last week, Joe Mixon in a losing effort, 115 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns. The week before, they were up too much on the Cardinals, so James Conner did not produce. But then the week before that, Kyron Williams, 100 yards and a touchdown. Then you got Minnesota the week before that, 115 all-purpose yards. He just didn't score. Tony Pollard, dud game. They're playing from behind too much. Jonathan Taylor was playing behind the whole game, averaged 10 yards a touch, 135 yards. He just didn't score. And then obviously the Saquon Barkley game I've been talking about a ton. 3-touchdown game week 1. So Tank Bigsby, if he gets all the work, 26 touches this past week, I mean, yeah, he's in another smash spot, especially if Etienne is out.
Yep. And then Javonte Williams. We did talk about Achane.
Running back one more time with Mr. Javonte Williams.
Why not?
I mean, another fantastic spot. I mean, going against Carolina, who's just completely given up on the season. They're in absolute shambles. Losers of just blowout after blowout after blowout. They haven't had a one-score loss the entire season. Every single loss has been by 10 points or more. 5 of them have been by at least 18 points. So, yeah, I mean, people are playing from ahead. There's a reason. Javonte Williams getting more and more opportunities, more and more snaps, and came last week in a good matchup where he had his first career 2-touchdown game, like I mentioned. He's still only hovering around 63 to 67% of the load. He's been vultured and sniped on some touchdowns, but another good spot. It's another one that we're targeting, and I just like him a lot this week.
Yep. And then Jonathan Brooks back for his first game. Let's see if Travis Etienne, what's it say? Inactive for Sunday's game, Patriots. Okay.
Yeah. He was week to week, and he wasn't expected to play this past week in London. We'll see what happens, but hamstrings usually they're patient with them.
Very
Plus,
tough.
If Tank Bigsby is playing well, then just don't rush him back, essentially.
Right.
But the thing you got to notice, though, we just talked about Javonte at 6,000. Went all the way down to a guy that hasn't even played this season, which basically means that there's no value at running back this week.
Where is he?
He's at 5,000. He's right in the middle.
Oh, he's out. Oh, okay. Yeah. I was like, well.
So, yeah, he is still yet to make his debut. They opened his practice window this past week. He did practice on Wednesday.
Yes.
But then as later in the week came, they're like, you're not back yet. But, it is worth noting that he is getting closer to a return. It's only 5,000. Probably not going to play him this week. But he's a guy that is going to eventually start getting into things. And late in the season, we are going to be smashing him in some plays, being a low-owned, cheaper running back against good spots late in the season when games don't even matter for them. It's going to be a lot of fun in weeks 15 through 17.
For sure.
But, again, there's no running backs that are valued this week. The only way that we're doing builds is 6,000 and above running backs, 2 of them, and then 4 receivers. A couple are going to be cheap. So we talked about a couple of them that are worth mentioning. But yeah, we're just going to get right into some of our first looks.
Yeah. Where do you want to start quarterback wise? Which quarterback would you like to go with?
Let's see.
We have a lot
Yeah,
to
we
talk
do have
about,
a lot.
obviously. Let's talk about a stud. Let's pick a stud first. Either Jalen Hurts, Jordan Love, or Joe Burrow.
I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start with a fun one.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Joe Burrow. That's my first one, and we're gonna do a double.
Well, I know where to go.
Well, actually, we might not have any kind of money whatsoever, but we're gonna go Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T Higgins.
Okay, we're gonna try it.
We're gonna try it.
What is T? 65. Okay.
Yeah.
There you are. I see you. And then
now
Philly.
Philly.
Tough.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to bring them back unless you go with a Grand Calcaterra, or in this way, I don't know if we can afford it, but we're going to try Devontae Smith.
Yeah.
Just because I think he might actually be a less than 5% owned play.
Let's go
because of all the mid-tier 6K guys. I think it's a good spot for him.
Let's go grab a defense, and we're going to have to go all the way down.
So,
Atlanta is 2,600.
Yeah, the two that stand out to me in the 6K range are Chicago at 27, because especially if Jaden Daniels is out, and then Atlanta Falcons against Tampa Bay, who are without their top two pass catchers. So now
and have no rushing game. It's not like
no rushing game. So you expect maybe a better performance from them.
Yeah,
probably prefer one of those two. We'll have to do it in another build that's more of a value-based build, but all of the top defenses are really worth mentioning this week. I just wanted to point that out. Lions at home against Mason Rudolph.
Yeah.
Denver at home against Carolina. Kansas City against Gardner Minshew. Jets against a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, look at all these opponent ranks. Oh, my God.
If you don't like Jameis Winston and the Browns, Baltimore against them.
Chargers
at home against Spencer Rattler. So every single one of the defenses, 3,300 and above, in fantastic spots, and we really haven't targeted defenses that high.
Yeah.
Well, because all of them are within 30, or 33 to 37, they're all in play. So not in this build, but we're gonna have defense pretty spread out this week.
Yeah, let's get the Atlanta Falcons going up against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think that's a good start, and then we have to figure out how to get value at running back. Let's start with $6,300. I think that's a good way to start. The pair of $6,300.
Okay, so I already see how this is kind of trending. So I really do think that we're going to have to go to Calcaterra as the bring back. So unfortunately, let's take out Devontae. Let's get a little bit more uncomfortable. Go back to Grant at 32. Alrighty. So now that makes me feel a little better. Okay. So now, when we're talking value receivers, there's a lot to bring up. All Tampa Bay receivers are 30 or 4,000 and below. So Sterling Shepard at 38. I believe you have Jalen McMillan at 37. He led the team in targets that were not the two.
He's my favorite.
Trey Palmer actually had the most snaps of the three. Mm-hmm. He's the cheapest. So any of them are in play. And then also, again, Cleveland, ton of value as well.
New Orleans. Cleveland. That's what I meant. Which one? I think Jalen McMillan is my favorite.
Okay, so let's run with them.
Where are you?
He's 37.
37. Okay. There you are. So many names this week.
All right, so now kind of right in the middle again. And so now let's see what we can do with that.
Atlanta bring back. Come on. 7,200 Bijan.
Okay.
Flex 5,000. I'm probably not playing Jonathan Brooks. On this
we're
build.
definitely not. We're just pointing out the fact that there's no produced running backs.
Right.
I'm mostly doing 4 receiver and 2 tight end builds this week for every single line. I don't see a way that we're going to do 3 running back builds unless we just double down on really cheap receivers and then spend up on 3 of them.
How about Jerry Jeudy?
It's fine with a good look.
And then $200 if you wanted to go up a defense, you could do that.
I probably prefer, because I'm anticipating that Jaden Daniels is going to be out, unfortunately. And so with that being said, I think Chicago is more inclined to have the defensive stats.
Okay.
Atlanta has been a good defense, but just has not been getting sacks. They have not been getting a ton of turnovers.
Right.
Chicago has. So
fine
that's
with me.
why I prefer them as well.
Beautiful.
So, yeah, that's a decent first build.
Solid. Yeah, let's do a mid-tier build now. I want to do a Tua build because I don't.
Okay.
We
weren't going to leave this video without a Tua build.
It has to be played for sure. Where are you, Tua? IR still, buddy.
Don't matter.
And then we'll go grab his First
So
pass catchers, Tyreek Hill, at least one.
This is what I was going to ask you was,
Yeah,
I know
what
Jaden
you're
Waddle's the cheapest he's ever been, but Devon
Achan
Achane
is 6,200. Yeah, let's go grab him. I think we should do 6,200. I mean, that is just free basically if he does have a first week, second week type of game because of those, ability.
I'm so intrigued to see what the ownership will be on all these Miami players this week because we know Tua is more than likely going to play. They say that he's going to be a full participant tomorrow in the first practice of the week. So all of them are at season lows in terms of, price. And I hope that doesn't mean that everybody is going to be on that side because I don't want to heavily invest in it.
Yeah.
But, at the end of the day, if we build 5 lines again, I might end up with 2 Tua lines.
Oh, man. So, I like this Tua line a lot. So, which Arizona player, though, do you think is the most confident?
Trey McBride.
Okay. I agree.
He, I believe, is the cheapest he's been all season. I know the matchups are pretty volatile for tight ends because they're all over the place, but he's a guy that just has his only touchdown this year is a fumble recovery touchdown that he was not targeted on. But each of the last 5 games, actually, double-digit points. He's leading the team in targets. He has all the upside in the world. He just has not scored. So season low in price, I'd rather go with that. But if you wanted to get up to Marvin, because I know he's going to be pretty low owned, I'm fine with that as well. But I'd prefer on this start to go with Mr. Trey.
All right. So now we have some extra money. We got a lot of money pretty much for the rest of this build.
A lot of money.
Except for there's no running backs. But I do want to get a good defense out of this because of that fact. And
of the 6, do you have a strong stand on your favorite?
Well, I'm not playing Baltimore.
That's fine.
Because of the unpredictability of Jameis Winston.
Yes.
He is just, he could have 500 yards. It shouldn't surprise. Well, 500 is a lot, but you know what I mean. An insane amount of yards. And so I think he's out. How did the Jets do against New England in their first game?
They were a strong play.
16.
They were in my my almost first place line.
That's right. Yes. Yeah, I don't have a strong lean necessarily.
I'd probably prefer, if I had to say, I would say Denver.
Or maybe the Chargers. Those are my 2 favorites. Because I do think Spencer Rattler. Well, let's see. Yeah, because I want to see if they get stats. They did not get any stats last week.
Yeah.
I like Denver a lot.
They just didn't get any sacks. So, yeah, let's go with Denver because they've been just killing it. And they were
made our money last time.
Exactly. So,
cool.
I'm completely fine riding with the Cody Barton.
Sure.
Denver Broncos.
3 turnover.
If that's the case, then we have to also put in Javonte Williams in this one.
Beautiful. And he's 6,000, so I can swallow that. And then I can I do want to play some of these cheap guys, of course. We are playing a lot of home guys right now, which is always my favorite thing to do. At wide receiver, though.
So I have a question.
Yes.
One person that we're going to talk about later in the week, Zay Flowers. In this 5 touchdown game, he had 1 target, 11 yards. Obviously, he got rolled up on an end around.
Sad day.
But he did return to the game, and that's why he missed all the props that we picked because
should have stayed out.
Exactly. So, do you want to pretend that he's out?
I don't, because I have him on my fantasy team.
Okay, well that's fine. Because what I was gonna say was that Rashad Bateman has
been great.
Finally breaking out. And he's been consistent, but then last night had his 100-yard touchdown game. He's only 4,300, and he's really cheap. And a really easy bring back is just picking any.
Yeah.
Enter your favorite Cleveland Brown here.
Yeah, I actually am not against playing him in general. I mean, he's getting targets.
3 touchdowns, 5 games.
He's actually got more. I believe Zay has more targets, but he's getting like second on the team in targets, and he's been fine. He's got 4 games out of the 5 with double digits for 4,300. I'm definitely fine putting him in a line.
So go him.
And then Jerry, or do you like someone else more?
So what I was going to say was, if you went all the way down to Tillman.
I think 33, right?
Yeah, 33. It's a little weird.
Okay.
But that leaves you 79. That gets a lot of fun that you could fit in.
Kenneth Walker. We can get a $5 running back.
Yeah. And I did say that, we're not really going to do 3 running back builds. Well, this is a way to do it if you're going to actually. So
yeah, for sure. They're all over 6,000. So that's the only way we're gonna play 3 running backs is the $6,000 running backs. We get Tyreek Hill in the stack for 7,000. He's actually, oh no, Kenneth Walker's our most expensive player, but yeah, I think this is a very well balanced build. Let's do a Jameis Winston stack. Yeah.
are you wanting a single or a double?
You have to double Jameis.
Okay, that's fine.
Don't you?
So, well, we're gonna start with Mr. David Njoku.
Yeah, we are. that was not even a
5,100.
question.
Favorite tight end to me on this slate is David Njoku, and that is saying something because Brock Bowers, coming off another strong game, is in the best matchup against a team that is worse in the NFL against tight ends, and he's only 6,100 still.
Jeez, look at those freaking scores,
and that's
man.
without touchdowns. So, other than 3 weeks ago, so
Best
we're gonna start with that. Pick your favorite secondary option, and honestly, because of how cheap we're going, we can really afford whatever we want to. If you wanted to do Judy, fine, but he was the least involved out of any of the pass catchers last week.
Yeah, I think. Oh my gosh, that's tough. I think my favorite is going to be Elijah Moore.
Okay, so that was one more thing to help with your decision. One to bring up the snap count. So despite Jerry Jeudy struggling, he still played 95% of the snaps, so he is on the field.
Yeah.
Cedric Tillman, however, obviously he was not playing a ton with Amari Cooper out or on the team. First game without Amari Cooper, he takes the 82% of the snaps that Amari Cooper was playing basically on a consistent basis, and then led all receivers in targets by a wide margin. So, and him being only 3,300, there's no way he's not gonna minimum get 6-7 targets and he's on 33.
Okay, well,
so if you want,
what's Elijah Moore do?
He was 64%. He's basically been between 60 and 70 each of the last 4 weeks. There's a reason he was 32 before, but at the same time, it's a crapshoot with Jameis because we don't have a sample size really of him other than the last 2 series of the game.
Yeah, who runs the fastest and the farthest? That's the real question. That's my only question for Jameis.
Well, you start with this. You can afford whatever you want.
I want Baltimore.
So Baltimore.
I don't want Rashad Bateman in this line though. That would Jesus. Okay, no. That's a little low, but we could literally do anything after that if we did that.
So let's go to defense because we already have 6,000 without defense. We're paying enough for defense. Which do you want to stay Denver? Or do you want to go to another one?
I want to watch them kick the shit out of Carolina.
You don't want to watch Kareem Hunt kick the shit out of the Chiefs or the?
No, I'm okay. For $100 more. I'll pay my $100.
That's fine. All right, 6,500 per for the last 5 positions.
I just want to see what happens if we put Rashad Bateman in this 43. Oh my God, there's no freaking
71. Oh, we're juicy.
It's a lot of money. That is a lot of money.
Can we leave? Okay, here's my thing. I don't know at this present moment if I can build a single line in good conscience without either Devon Achane or Tyreek Hill because of how cheap they are.
All right, then I'm playing Devon Achane.
62?
Yeah.
Oh, buddy.
Then we're just
watch
saving.
That price go up.
Oh my gosh. Can I do something? Just because you like me, I want to do this. And would you rather have AJ Brown or Saquon? We had this debate last week. Okay, perfect. That's what I thought too. I was on the right spot. Okay, so
okay,
55.
That's awkward.
Damn it.
However, if you went to, we're 100 short if we did that. But also we have flexibility of defense.
Yeah,
as well,
that's what I was gonna say.
Because if you went down to, say you went to, well, it's probably the Chargers. That's 59.
You need $100.
Okay. Well, in that case, go down from AJ Brown to Devontae at 66, and then we can afford whatever fun running back you want to.
Okay, where's Devontae?
66.
And we can go back up, right?
Yeah, if you want to.
Well, let's see.
Well, it depends on what you want. I mean, Bijan's there. Jameer, we didn't talk about JT, but I expect him to be back. And, it was a tough outing against Houston this past week 1, but there's been running backs to have success against them this year.
How about that?
Is there anywhere else where we can spend that money?
Stack your defense there.
Are you fine Chase as a solo?
Yes.
Well, then go to Bijan.
Beautiful.
Or Drake London.
Oh, that's not nice. They should not have done that.
In the same price.
It is not nice. Drake London has been so consistent all year, but Bijan has the upside. Man,
I mean, Drake London has the upside.
Drake
He had
London had
36.
36 against Tampa. Oh, that's so rude. Why would they do that to me? Yeah, let's go Drake
Okay.
because I need some love right here in my fantasy team. These two guys right here, you're both on my fantasy team.
I'm gonna have a lot of fun building lines this week.
No,
I'll tell
yeah,
you that.
for sure. I'm playing 2 Jameis Winston lines. Like, I don't care.
wanted to. So
2 Tua lines, 2 Jameis lines, and what? A Joe line or
a Joe line.
Jordan Love line, if you want to guess which receiver. See, that's not as much fun. That's not as fun, you know?
Yeah, it's not fun. Yeah, I mean, we didn't even talk about Kirk.
Yeah.
Mr. 5'11" against.
So Tua. Oh, yeah. Well,
We're
let me
gonna make some decisions later this week, but yeah, I mean.
Yeah, I think my favorite.
Caleb Williams.
Yeah. Oh, damn.
Oh.
That's so. Their receivers so
we're
cheap.
We're playing 20 lines, aren't we?
No.
No.
Oh, maybe. Maybe.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, for sure. But I think
This is a
that's
fun
good
week.
for
This
sure.
is a fun week.
Let me stop sharing.
This is way better than last week. Last week we were just skinning our teeth for value. Our line sucked. It was mostly led by me, and you know, we have to do better at Maine because our first looks. Talking about Maine, we've been killing it on showdowns. We've been killing it on prime times, early only.
Yeah, we've done everything but Maine, and the only video we put out is for Maine.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's so dumb to me because like we play the same players on early only and then afternoon, but the problem is we don't play the right players all on Maine. What it is. It is what it is.
It's just either playing more lines or just kind of taking bigger stands than we do. Like you mentioned before, Jordan Mason being underweight.
Yeah,
would have worked out more often than not. And that typically, when you go against the grain of the public, that's typically what happens. But
right. That's
our first look. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Please like, comment, subscribe. Check out our showdown video that we have because that's a really fun game between the Vikings and Rams. Join us on the Discord because we have some fun props that we already posted. You need to get in the Discord so you can get those numbers before they get inflated and juiced.
Yes.
We can't thank you enough. Please continue just building this community. It's been a whole lot of fun. We've been having a blast doing it. We're almost at the halfway point of the season, and we're just going to keep getting better and better and better and have a banger if we finish to our first season covering the NFL and college football.
Yeah, don't forget about college football. We have been doing a lot with that. We're going to be putting out all of our
Super Dog.
Thank you. Florida State, baby, this week. No bias in that at all. But we're going to be putting out our playoff prediction brackets for me, Cam, and Dustin this week. So that'll be fun to see how we look at these things in different ways and how we think these teams are going to end up at the end of the year. Lots of fun things happening. I think we're also going to do a confidence bracket, confidence bowl picks with the whole group. So we'll have that in Discord so you can join it. So if you want to get in on that, we'll be doing that.
Yeah, probably towards the end of next month, like around Thanksgiving time, we'll start bringing that up to, get gauging interest, and maybe we might throw a prize or two out there for those that are interested in participating. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. It'll be our first community contest. First of very many, because we're going to start coming more and more ideas to engage with you guys. And, that's only going to grow this community as we do that. I'm
sure we're going to do a playoff prediction contest for the NFL and for college also. So there'll be a lot of stuff coming up. But yeah, we just get in our Discord so that you can see all those things. Like, comment, subscribe on this video. Comment on this video if you have any questions or if you like or dislike something we have said. We will see y'all next time, though.
Yeah, see y'all on Sunday. Sunday live, 9 o'clock. New start time. We're going to be doing 9 to 11 now until we get more and more followers and interaction. Then we'll kind of push it back to where we have more engagement. But we're trying to get more clear and concise right around the inactive times, which come out at 10:30, and just kind of keep on going and flowing. Or we've had some really good shows the last couple of weeks, and we're just trying to get more engagement. So that's kind of the sweet spots of the times. And so till then, we're going to be doing a 2-hour show. Could be longer as we go on to the season. We'll just kind of see how you guys want to interact with us. Until then, we will see you guys next time.
There you go.